Luke12000. You can call me Jonathan. I saw one of your videos, wanted to say hello. One of my commenters, or maybe it was even a comment on your video that I made, that someone commented and responded to me saying that, you know, John, referring to me, you should be a lot more like Luke. Let's find out, shall we? You know, I don't have much going on right now on my channel, so I hope to start an exchange with you on the subject of anarchy. You said in a recent video, I think the most recent, unless you've made something just recently, more recently, imagine that logic, where you were talking about anarchy in a very casual sense. I have some objections to it, and I haven't seen all your videos, and in fact I haven't seen any of your videos on anarchy or whatever, and I'm sure that you have them. So don't think that this is in any way an attempt to refute your position fully, because I don't know what it is. I do, however, want to tease apart something that you were saying, and hopefully it will lead us to something greater and grander and more spectacular. But until then, this is what I have issue with. In your most recent video, or at least the one that I saw, you were talking about anarchism as kind of the follow-through of libertarian ideals. You seem to think that anarchy is, or rather that a libertarian is just a closet anarchist. Those are my words, those aren't yours. I don't mean to put words in your mouth. But it does seem as though you think that just as some people think a bisexual is really just a gay and doesn't want to admit it, you seem to think that libertarians are really anarchists but don't want to admit that as well. Or either. I have issue with that. I'm a libertarian, and I have considered anarchy, and really the result has just been very unconvincing. However, you seem to think that it is, and that it is the inevitable conclusion, to use your words, and them some strong fighting words, boy. The inevitable conclusion. Give me the inevitable conclusion. Give me the evidence here. Give me the argument. I'd love to hear it. The one argument that you responded to, and this was in response to the Amazing Atheist, or at least a question that he had for you, is that the Amazing Atheist made the argument that people are stupid, therefore they need to be moderated. That's the condensed version. You say that government is merely made of people, and if we assume that people are stupid, then it's just stupid trying to moderate stupid, and what is really solved in the end. You seem to take that as a justification for anarchy, when in fact that doesn't account for all forms of government, so it can't be used as a support for anarchy. It's just a support for not putting stupid people into power, into power or positions of authority. Perhaps that needed to be stated more straightforwardly. I don't know. I mean, there's just not much solved with that argument. What I propose to you is that if you can consider, say, for example, two presidents that have been in the White House and can see a clear winner between two, that you can weigh them together and say, this guy, even though I might not have agreed with 100% or even 10% of what they did, they were a better president than President B, whatever it might be. And B might stand for Bush, however, whatever the case may be, states or affirms my point, which is that people, though of the potential of being equally incompetent, rarely are equally incompetent. We have different kinds of people. So the argument that you were making in response to the Amazing Atheist seemed to assume that we are all of equal incompetence. That's not true. However, there is something to be said about how we identify people who are truly more intelligent than the rest, and how exactly they ought to moderate the behavior of people who might be destructive. Unlike the Amazing Atheists, and this is just assuming this, I don't think the role of government is to moderate people's behavior in keeping them from harming themselves. I don't think that has anything to do with government at all. And not just because Ron Paul said it or something like that. Here's the argument. when government is formed, it is formed through, regardless of what the government happens to be, it always is formed through a contractual agreement that is mental, that is mentally ratified and re-ratified with every waking moment. And that is that the people of a society forfeit their ability to freely coerce their neighbors or whoever is around them. In a society, in a human society, as soon as we forfeit our ability or our freedom to coerce freely, we've begun a government, and because that leads to an administration of when coercion is proper and when the coercion is not proper. And there we have the basis of laws and rules and so on and so forth, and it results from that. Any form of government results from that. And it starts merely with keeping people from freely coercing each other, you see. It has nothing to do with coercing oneself or giving or causing pain or suffering to oneself. That is something that government just it has never been part of the fabric of government. I don't think that you should hurt yourself, but we live in a day and age where moral seems to equal social law or whatever Congress says or something like that. It's ridiculous. Government is not the arbiter of morality. It is merely the result of a contractual agreement between people to not beat the shit out of each other. And it's really as simple as that. Now, that being said, the purpose of government, unlike, again, like the amazing atheist might argue, and I don't really know, but what it would seem that he would argue is that government is there to make sure people don't hurt themselves or other people. I say the government's there just to keep other people from hurting other people, and that's the end of it. Is there injustice in government? Certainly. It's as people wiser than myself have said, it is a dangerous servant and a terrible master. But what is the alternative? Well, consider something for me, and I'll leave you with this, and I look forward to your response. Government is a lot like a business, in that a business can have its own bank account, but a business is no single person. Even if it's a sole proprietorship, I think that's what they call it, a business of sole propriety with a sole proprietor, whatever, that person is not the business. The business itself is an agreement. It's a thought, and especially in the case of where there are more than one person running the company, it's some kind of agreement between those people on how the business is to be run. But even in the case of one person, because the business deals with other people, the buying, the selling of goods, services, whatever the case may be, business itself is an idea. Microsoft isn't something that you can hold or grab. It's there as an idea. So too with government. And here's the thing. This is what I want to leave you with. Every moment of every day, we sign the social contract. Some atheists, some anarchists say, well, I never signed a social contract, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. When in reality, we do this every moment of every day. Government is nowhere that we can grab onto, just like we can't go out and grab onto the Microsoft company. It's just not there to grab onto. So too with government, any government. But humans across the globe, for as long as we can figure, have always agreed to relinquish their freedom to coerce. And they relinquish it in a very particular way, in that they moderate their coercion by a set of principles. Okay, and there's lots to be said about what kind of principles are just and what kind of principles are not just, but I think that is for a later video, and hopefully you will say something that will evoke the necessity of that kind of response. But at this point, all I need to say is that the argument that all people are stupid, therefore government is just as equally stupid as everyone else, is a pretty lame argument, and it doesn't really address much of what is really at stake here. And second, that government is only present because we choose it to be present every day. every moment of every day. It is not something there that you have to knock down a building and then you'll knock down government. It's an idea. It's an agreement. I don't coerce you freely. You don't coerce me freely. The coercion between us, however, and those and the other people in our society, however, will be used in a moderate sort of way, and will be done through different agreements, through different laws, whether it is the whim of a dictator or the social code of a Congress or what have you. Hope you thought that was interesting, and I hope to hear from you, Luke12000, and I'm looking forward to your response.